Bangkok is one of those cities that's very easy to visit, but it's much harder to really understand once you're actually living your day-to-day life here. Because the things that make Bangkok special in the long term usually aren't food, nightlife, or the cliches that people talk about. After living here for years, I noticed there are certain things that start to slowly grow on you. Things that you may not barely notice at first, but quietly become the reasons as to why you actually love being here. And every time I come back to Bangkok, like on this trip, I'm reminded why so many expats end up staying here much longer than they ever planned to. So in this video, I want to share 7 things that I've come to love about living here in Bangkok in the long term, and why they quietly make this city surprisingly hard to leave. Okay, so this is my last morning today here in Bangkok for this trip. Later on today, I'm heading back to Kuala Lumpur. And there's something interesting about your final morning in a city, because that's when you start to notice what you're actually going to miss about the place. Not the big tourist highlights per se, but the small rhythms. Think the morning coffee downstairs, the grab bike rides weaving through the traffic, the BTS doors opening at Asok Station, the 7-Eleven runs in the 35-degree heat. Bangkok can feel overwhelming when you first arrive. But once you learn how the city actually works, and once you start to build a rhythm, something shifts. And the city starts to give you a lifestyle that's quite hard to replicate elsewhere. So these 7 things are the ones that over time made me understand the real expat life here. And the interesting part is, none of them are the obvious reasons that people usually give. All right, so the first thing that I learned to love about Bangkok is that the city, it rewards you the moment you start learning the systems. Traffic everywhere, motorbikes everywhere, and streets that don't connect quite the way that you'd expect. But over the long term, Bangkok, it isn't asking you to conquer it, it's asking you to flow with it. You learn the BTS lines, the MRT shortcuts, and the roads that actually lead you to somewhere that you want to try to get to. You figure out that getting a grab bike from Asok to Tonglo is sometimes faster than sitting in a taxi in traffic. And suddenly, your day, it becomes smooth. One minute, you're in a crowded street market. The next, you're in an air-conditioned skywalk, walking straight into a cafe. And that moment when the city starts to work with you is when Bangkok becomes surprisingly easy to live in. And the next thing that I learned to love about Bangkok is the opposite of what most people might expect from a city this intense. Bangkok is a city that looks like it runs at full speed all the time. But living here long term, you realise something different. You can actually choose your own pace. You can start your day with a morning jog around Benjakiti Park and then head on to a quiet cafe at Ekamai, and by the evening be sat in a busy street market or a nice rooftop bar. It's almost as if Bangkok gives you multiple versions of the city, and you can choose which version you want for that day. And I think that might be one of the main reasons why people stay longer here than they expect to, because the city, it doesn't force a certain lifestyle on you, it gives you options. And once you realise that, you start realising something else that quietly changes how your whole week feels. All right, 8:30 in the morning, sun starts to come out, sunny's on. So the next thing that I learned to love about living in Bangkok, and this is the third thing, is how convenient daily life becomes. Not the tourist version of convenience, but real life convenience. Need a quick dinner? You can just pop downstairs from where you live, and you can find maybe 3 street food stalls within a 10-minute walk of your residence. Need groceries? There's probably a 7-Eleven or a mini Lotus supermarket within a 500-metre walk of where you live. Need to get across the city? MRT, BTS, Airport Railway Link, Grab or Bolt taxi, motorbike taxis. You've got a plethora of options available to you. And what I've come to realise over time is that a lot of the life frictions, they start to either completely disappear or become very easy to manage. You spend less time dealing with logistics and more time on actually living your life. And by the way, if you enjoy these kind of real-life expat insights into the region of Southeast Asia, Bangkok, Kuala Lumpur and beyond, then consider subscribing to the channel and tapping the notification bell so you don't miss anything and any future videos. I share a lot of lived-in perspectives like this, the things you only understand once you've actually spent time here. And actually this rooftop here of where I'm filming from today is a good example of what I mean by lifestyle here. And honestly, waking up here this morning, walking out onto the rooftop and seeing the skyline view is really something quite special. But interestingly, places like this highlight something else about Bangkok that people may not realise until they potentially live here. Number 4, and this one took me a while to appreciate, Bangkok is a massive city that is surprisingly livable once you find your pocket. When you first arrive here, the city, it feels enormous. 10 million people, traffic everywhere, and skyscrapers in every direction. It's easy to wonder how anyone actually builds a normal life here. But what happens over time is that you start shrinking the city down into your own little ecosystem. Maybe you live somewhere in Phromphong, Ari, Thonglor, or further down Sukhumvit in somewhere like Punawiti or Udomsuk. And what you may find over time is that your life actually starts to naturally orbit around certain places. The cafe where you go for your morning coffee, the park where you go for your run, the food court where you grab your lunch from, and the BTS station that connects your day to the rest of the city. Suddenly, Bangkok, it doesn't feel like an overwhelming mega city anymore. It feels like a neighbourhood with a beautiful skyline. And once you've found that rhythm, my friend, the city, it becomes far more comfortable than people expect. And that's when you start noticing something else about daily life here. Number 5 is something that people talk about a lot, but I think the storyline behind this is a bit more nuanced than it can seem on paper. And that, my friend, is the value for money lifestyle that Bangkok offers. The city can absolutely be expensive if you want it to be. Rooftop bars, luxury condos, and high-end restaurants that can be the same price as many other major Western countries around the world. But the interesting part is the middle ground that Bangkok offers. You can grab a lunch from a street stall for maybe 60 or 70 baht. You can hop on a BTS and zip across the city for a couple of dollars and finish the day with a Thai massage that costs less than a dinner back home. It's not really necessarily about things being cheap, so to speak. It's about the value equation feeling fair. You feel like the lifestyle you're getting actually matches the effort you're putting in. And for a lot of expats, that's when the city actually starts to make long-term sense. But interestingly, the next thing I learned to love about Bangkok isn't about money at all. Number 6 is what actually surprised me a bit, and that is that Bangkok makes it surprisingly easy to build a life here. And I don't mean just visiting for a few weeks, I mean actual routines and community. Bangkok is a melting pot of people that have come from all around the world. You can think long-term expats, entrepreneurs, digital nomads, and people coming here to work for international companies. And because the city has so many shared spaces, you can think about cafes, parks, co-working spaces, gyms, etc. You start to recognise familiar faces. Perhaps you start to see the same person at your regular morning coffee spot. Maybe someone at the gym nods hello to you after a few weeks. Over time, those small social interactions, they can build familiarity. And that's the beauty about Bangkok. It doesn't kind of like shuttle you into a social scene, but if it's something that you want to build, it gives you the option to do so. And when you combine that with the final thing on this list, my friend, that's when you start to see why Bangkok becomes such a long-term base for people. And to illustrate this as effectively as I can, let's head on to another location. So I will see you there. Right now, I'm at Suvarnabhumi Airport, waiting for my flight to get back to Kuala Lumpur. And standing here, getting ready for my flight, reminds me of the 7th reason as to why I love living in Bangkok. And that is how much it keeps your world feeling big and open, because it's more than just a city, it's a regional hub. From here, you can reach most places in Southeast Asia within just a few hours. You can think Kuala Lumpur, Saigon, Bali, Phnom Penh, and many other places around the region are just a short flight away. And psychologically, that changes how life feels for me here. Bangkok, it becomes a place that you return to, but it also connects you to a much wider region. You can build routines, work, relationships, and daily life here while still having the freedom and flexibility to move around. And I believe that that combination of mobility and stability is one of the key reasons why Bangkok keeps pulling people back. Because once the city becomes part of your regular rhythm, it stops feeling like somewhere you just visit, and it becomes somewhere that you continuously return to. And today, I'm doing exactly that. I'm leaving Bangkok and returning to Kuala Lumpur. So my friends, those are the 7 things that I've come to love about living in Bangkok long term. Not the obvious tourist things, but things that shape your day-to-day life in the city. The rhythm, the convenience, and the way the city starts working with you once you understand it. And in my opinion, that's the reason why Bangkok becomes surprisingly hard to leave. And that's one of the reasons why I love living in this part of the world. Cities such as Bangkok and Kuala Lumpur are close enough by, so you don't really have to choose just one. If you wish to do so and are able to, you can stretch your life between them, living different rhythms and spreading your life across both locations. Anyway, as you can see behind me here, I've just arrived back in Kuala Lumpur, so it's Mr. Henners signing off here for this one, and I'll see you in the next one.